So let's see how compatible our new swamp banks are with all of our other stuff. First, we're going to compare it to the new forest pieces. So we're going to take a couple of our swamp banks, fly in to our forest floors. It all plays very nicely with the new forest. The swamp-inspired trees, like the dead tree, the cypress, the willow. Where is the willow tree? Well, all the swamp stuff plays very nicely with the forest. Basically, it's just a wet forest. All right, so now let's look at the swamp with some of our old forest pieces. So, see how it lines up here pretty nicely. Put that around. All of our new swamp trees. Let's look at it with the escarpments. Escarpments of swamp. Here's a really neat one we can try. Watch this. We take this spirit tree, put it in here, and let's float this thing out in the swamp. Yeah, this looks just at home in a swamp. Take some of these old stumps, put them on a water map. Instant swamp. Now here's the big one. Let's look at the old forest transition banks, right? So we have these are our transition banks from the forest. Let's line them up here. New bank, old bank, new bank, old bank, new bank, old, new. So you have a whole bunch of options now if you mix and match these banks. It's going to give you a lot of freedom to build. New bank, old bank. The profile lines up. They have basically identical profile. Paint scheme matches. And we give you some new geometry to play with. So let's look at how these banks work with our new mountains pieces. Let's say we have a couple of mountains pieces and we want to transition to some forest. Because we're going to mix everything. We get old forest, new forest, just nice mix. You could use the swamp banks to transition you right up from mountain to forest. You could break it up more if you want. Something like that. Let's say we want to do a swamp cliff. Some escarpments. We'll do a curve. Yeah. So if we want to have, maybe this is, the big festering swamp pool. We've got some cliffs here. Transition. You can put the swamp banks on top of these. You top them with the banks, and it transitions you from the vertical back to land. And if you wanted, you could get a battle board with some stilts on it. Oop. Here, then you could transition up and have some forest up here, or swamp, or whatnot. Well, here's another fun one we could do. Do the same sort of thing with say you had a cliff going along here. You could use the swamp banks down here to kind of transition from cliffs down, make a little landing for your steps going up, one out, like such. Or use this guy, something like that. In and out. Alright, so you could do something with our trifecta ledges if you want. Pop those in. Boom. 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 And these swamp banks, trifecta ledges to transition between the swamp water into the escarpments up to more forest. Beautiful. And one more thing you can do with the swamps and our new mountains is you can do some really neat like swamp cave sort of things. So you can take your swamp water texture, throw the concave piece up there, top this with some banks, and you have a neat little cave that you could, maybe your smuggler's boat goes in there or whatnot. Let's look at the swamp with the old mountain. So we've got this old Aranthor floor. You can use your swamp pieces if you want. You could just do it to build a little patch of ground on a mountainous bit here. Ooh, you know what? These projecting roots look kind of like, you know, mountain pines or whatever. Very dry trees in a dry environment or something. Or you could do something like that and then put something crazy in there. Put a sour nest in there. Or what's really neat is we can use the swamp banks. Let's say you're doing a cliff up here, and we want to build let's knock it out one more. So go up to there. So you can use the new swamp banks with the old Aranthor cliffs to transition up to like a wooded area, to any sort of forest floors or even more swamp banks up here and the like. Something like that. Transition up and out. Let's transition up. What else we have? We can do. Also, you can use some of the new sort of rocky pieces to break up your, if you're using a bunch of the same Aranthor rocks over and over, you can mix and match some of the new swamp rocks in there to give a more organic shape to some of your builds. So you could have like a planar cliff here. Do that, maybe put this thing here, nestle that in there. Let's go up one more. So you can use these rocks to get some more organic shapes in there, get a little greenery in with your cliffs, and step things up a notch. Ooh, this fit on here? Not so great. So now let's see how our swamp banks work with our city builder and our castle builder pieces. So I'm going to put down texture mat here, and let's find a little place to build a castle tower out in the swamp. We'll get rid of that guy. Let's see where we can put this. Alright, so make a little island. Bloop. Pop down your castle on there. And now a little watchtower out in the swamp or out in the bay. Whatnot. That works. Now we could also put a city builder house out there, like a lonely little cottage. Maybe a witch lives out there. Maybe it's ancient ruins. Ooh, or recent ruins. Looks pretty neat. But how about building in lines? So let's say we wanted to make a real swamp hut right in the swamp here. So I'm gonna use some 2x2 forest floors. Well, house out in the swamp. Or you could, this might be interesting. Let's see what this looks like in there. Ooh, so now there's water gathering underneath the foundation here. And this is really square. So what if we try putting, try a corner in there. Is this gonna work? Yep. Do something like that. All right, so if you wanted to have this exposed and not have these clean lines here, we could do it on top of, do it like it's a pond. So you could do something off axis. Connect this here. No, we're out of there from there. So you could do something like that. Oh, wait. We could do something like that and suspend it over there. That looks pretty dangerous. All right, so city builder and castle with swamps, check.